Hi, everybody. It's been a hot minute since we've been back, but this is Tales of Tairiku, presented by Half Drawn Tabletop. Thank you to anybody who is tuning in. We've been gone a hot minute. I took a little bit of a breather from D&D because I have a lot going on, but I'm back at it and back on my bullshit because I'm running 3 different games this weekend. Hey! But as far as announcements are, we are going to be doing an every other week schedule for the most part, moving forward. We will obviously not be playing next week. The week after, my wife and I will be gone. Mandy and I will be gone because we're going to be in Florida. Coming back, we will probably run game that following weekend if we can, or however that pans out, and then we will just go to an every other week schedule from there as best that works out for everybody else. We are short 2 players this evening, unfortunately. One has some obligations tomorrow, and the other I haven't been able to get a hold of, and that's okay, because that's life. Probably working. So, we're just going to continue forward. A quick recap of the series of events that happened prior to our little break. So, last time, our party of intrepid adventurers... Hold on, let me adjust my camera, sorry. Our party of intrepid adventurers has found themselves in Shima Province with the within the Mistwalker's castle. The Mistwalkers being an elite organization of ninjas that do battle with terrible fiends and dark creatures of the night. Sorry, my cameras just can't seem to be pretty today. Okay. Finding out that one such member of the Mistwalkers. Wow, my brain is just completely melting today. So great. Of course, it's names that cause me all the issues.
Arasue?
Thank you. Arasue.
Yeah.
That son of a bitch.
I'm surprised I got it. Jeez.
No, I need to have my notes in the right section, yes. So, one member of the Mistwalkers, Arasue, a Karura, who had managed to get a hold of a weapon he claimed was another shadow weapon, a shadow demon weapon, much like Natsuki and the like. Had claimed that it was a ruling weapon and had dominion over the other shadow demon weapons, and slayed the elders of the Mistwalkers, and then had brought all of the remaining members, including the 2 triad members who were present, under his control, some sort of very powerful magical influence. Our party, led at least particularly in this endeavor by Yukio, a Mistwalker triad himself, laid siege to the castle, battled the triad, the 2 triads and Arasue, and were able to ultimately defeat them, slaying Arasue and freeing the 2 triads from the influence of the Claws of Orochi, as we learned. However, one member of your party decided to pick up the claws, and it did not go very well for them.
Whoever did that was an idiot.
Yep. Ark, picking up the claws, probably intending to bring them to the party, instead ended up donning the claws and striking May down before having his arm from about the middle of the forearm down severed entirely by Yukio.
Real jerk move.
Yeah. So,
I wasn't taking any chances, man.
You all very quickly dispatched of the claws using the 7-branch spear, and were able to heal the architect to some degree. But, you're down an arm at the moment, although you do have a nice paper prosthetic for the time being, crudely drawn.
I can make prosthetics.
Yes. And unheard to anybody else in the party, Architect, you had heard a few words exchanged to you during your brief interlude in a liminal space, we'll say. So, as I described previously, it was approaching daytime. Dawn had broken, and the sun has begun climbing into the sky as you had attacked the castle at night. the triad, Yoteshi, Keto Yoteshi, she has chosen to retire herself as a triad and taken up the position of elder of the Mistwalkers, with the understanding that she would be passing her weapon on to another who proved to be worthy. The Mistwalkers who were present were given a task of finding and breaking the binds of any other Mistwalkers who might still be under the remaining influence. Yukio was gifted a very fine suit of armor. A garb worn by one of the original champion of the Mistwalkers, now passed down to Yukio, as he has more than earned it. The Mistwalker Master's Domaru, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And so, it is daybreak. Mistwalker Yoteshi has set various servants to task for food and providing for you guys. The day is yours, and I believe the only thing that was being discussed was possibly what the next step will be. And I believe you all had agreed that you were wanting to head into Okutoro province, was my understanding, which would be due west. If I remember correctly. I might be jumping ahead.
I believe so, yes.
All right. So, things being as they are, my party of intrepid adventurers, what would you like to do? It is early morning still in the Mistwalker's castle.
I forget.
Yes?
I do forget. It would be a good refresher. On whose behalf are we heading to Okutoro?
Not anybody's behalf. It would just be one of the other places that may have a piece of Orochi.
Okay.
It's just the next nearest one is probably the next nearest province.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah. No real objections there.
Yeah.
I think.
A few of you were gifted some interesting magic items, including May, Ray, and Lee.
Forgot all about that. I had updated my. Oh yeah. It's like picking up. It's like putting on a coat and finding like a 20 in the pocket that you completely forgot about.
I got a factory and pocket full of 20s. I don't.
How many pieces have we destroyed?
4?
4, yeah.
4?
Yep.
How many were there?
8.
Yeah.
We have more pieces to destroy than I can count on all my hands.
Indeed. To that point, Architect, you have the know-how to construct a prosthetic. You're down a limb, which makes it a little more difficult. If you were to construct a proper long-term prosthetic, you would need 2 things. You would need a list of specific supplies that most likely could be provided, especially by freaking ninjas in a freaking ninja castle. And you also will probably need at least 1 more pair of hands to help you.
I will volunteer. Seeing as how I removed it in the first place.
Actually, it's greatly appreciated. Ray, what are you doing?
It's going to have the Atlas of Endless Horizons just like cracked open in front of her face, and when you start talking to her, she just leans into it.
Further into the book, pointedly ignoring you.
Fair point. All right, Yukio. Is that right?
Yes.
Yukio.
That was a close one.
I was trying to remember what the last letter of the name was. Right, Yukio. Like I said before, you're going to be my number 1 choice.
Of course.
Let's see here. Give me a second. I'm sure I have this recipe somewhere, and I'm gonna start pulling random sheets of paper out of my my shirt. Of course, only like with one hand, so I'm like fumbling to get to this same
Yeah.
side chest
Yep.
bucket.
You've got the like weird like curve issue where you're like hooking into the coat pocket and you end up hung up like chicken winged for a moment, like God, shit, wrist doesn't bend that far. You eventually pull out a small plethora of various pieces of paper, a unique set of scribbled notes and kind of geometric patterns and equations, none of which that seem to relate to one another or anything that you've ever seen, Yukio. It is garbledy-gook as far as your brain is concerned. But you assume it has something to do with the strange magic that he performs.
Yeah, I'm just gonna assume that he knows what it is, and
you have very poor judgment.
I'm just gonna be here and offer my hands, I guess.
All
but
right.
Not in a way that he can literally take them.
Yes.
I need those.
So,
Does someone have a copy of Tasha's Cauldron?
I do, yes.
I cannot find it on here. I can't find
the equipment, prosthetic arm.
Because I don't have it on Beyond.
Okay, you should have access to it.
So, Kyler, am I now the Mistwalker Master?
You are.
Is that
indeed.
my title?
You are now the Mistwalker Master. Or Mistwalker Champion.
Bitchin'.
Either is appropriate. As far as magic items go, it's a mundane magic item, so it's not, it is rather common. It is common quality. Pretty sure, weird. It is not showing up as prosthetic. It's technically not under equipment, it's under magic items. Yeah, there's prosthetic limb as a common, wondrous item.
And I still can't find anything needed to make it.
This item replaces let's put it this way. You are an artificer. You can, very likely... Hello?
Hey!
Hey, there's Jeff.
Hello. Hey, sorry. I was putting together my bookshelf and reorganizing some books, and I got lost in the mini books that I have to fucking parse through.
Gotcha. Well, now that that's going on, let me rearrange my cameras a little bit.
Good to see you. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm guessing what you were saying is I could probably scavenge the parts.
I'm guessing that you can probably, given that you're decently high level and you are smart, you can make a prosthetic limb that works just fine. My question to you is there any sort of different or alternative functions that you would wish to apply to said prosthetic? Because if that is the case, that would require a significant roll or some time. But if you're just making a general prosthetic that does what general prosthetics do, that shouldn't take you more than a day's worth of work.
Okay, let's see. I definitely want to add a flag into the arm so when I punch it can, like, shoot out and go bang.
The bang flag.
Or no, oh my god, a finger gun bang. I need a finger gun bang flag. What do I need to roll to get a finger gun bang flag?
Well, there are going to be more... If there are more things that you want, I need the whole list, because it determines exactly what all you're doing and what you may or may not accomplish.
Oh no, that's all I need.
Literally, is all you want is the finger bang?
Yeah, I just want a finger bang flag.
We don't say those words here.
It's just an architect just wants a finger bang. That's all he wants.
Yeah. I'll pay good money for it.
911, I would like to request backup. I'm scared.
Alright.
Lightning Boomer. She sneezed. She's back up.
Alright, cameras are repaired. Yes, and also let me adjust the volumes on things. Yes, okay. Turn everybody down to 80% though, roughly. So that I can turn the whole thing up and hopefully hear Jeff.
Jay.
I am level 20 with many flashes of genius. I will get this damn right.
Alright, just roll a Tinker's Tools check for me as you collect a number of different materials, including pieces of shaped metal that you can adjust as needed, as well as various like small springs, and thankfully there are a significant amount of ninjas tools around. So a lot of them can be pulled apart and used and scrapped in order to make whatever you need. You find a small bit of like rice paper scrolling and have somebody with a steadier hand than you, haha, just lightly write out in common, bang, with a explosion like shape around it, and then attach it to a thin piece of wood and roll it up. And then you begin construction on your thing, your prosthetic.
Okay. Let's see. Do I have proficiency with these?
You should. You are an artificer. You should have proficiency with Tinker's tools.
Yeah, I have a proficiency with Tinker's tools.
Yeah. So this is going to be a D20 plus your proficiency, and let's add. You can do dexterity with disadvantage because you won't. Well, no, it would be canceled out by Yukio. So you can choose dexterity or intelligence, whichever you prefer.
Intelligence all day. So
Okay.
It's a D20 plus my proficiency plus my intelligence bonus.
Yeah.
I don't even need to flash it. That's 21.
Okay. Yukio, also roll a dexterity check for me.
Dexterity check.
Wait, is that 21? 11 plus 4 plus 5. No,
That'd be 20.
Clicking. Will this let me click it? Whatever, I'll just... Why are you not rolling, D&D Beyond? This is your job. Okay, I don't know why it's not letting me roll stuff, so... Un momento. Let me open my dice bag and get real dice real quick.
This is a quick check. We are supposed to be level 12, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a 19.
19?
Mhm.
Yes.
They did punch that.
Well, very good. Between the two of you, you take the better part of a day to do it. But collecting various bits of tools with the help of a few other members of the Mistwalkers, you are able to roughly cobble together a prosthetic limb. It is roughly the right size and shape. It is, because you only lost the pretty much the hand and part of the forearm. It's a lot simpler process than trying to do like a full like articulating shoulder elbow thing. You pretty much just had to get something that would work as a hand and wrist. So you're able to do that. It attaches via a series of like interesting like almost string netting that you pretty much like bring up through. You put onto the end of the arm, you bring it up, and it kind of is tied around the forearm and elbow in kind of an almost like spiral web pattern, and then is tightened just at the bicep, and it's just a single tie. So you can just like untie it and yank it off without much issue. It is a combination of shaped metal, shaped metal and wood reinforcements, largely bamboo and other sturdy hardwoods for strength and flexibility. Is it any particular color, or is it just unfinished steel and wood?
That's fine.
Okay, yeah. So just a simple kind of bare bones, unfinished steel and wood thing. And the hand is arranged in just such a way that if you make a finger gun motion and then roll the wrist of it in just the right way, it pop! The end of the finger slides over, and then a little spring-loaded, unfurled bang comes out. And then you have to hand crank it back and then shove it in and close it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous and amazing.
Yes.
I love
I
it.
figured it out. I got signed out of D&D Beyond, and apparently you need to be signed in to use it to roll stuff.
Yeah,
So,
that's
Oh,
weird.
yeah.
Yay, D&D Beyond. All
I
right,
think it was because I changed my password a little while ago.
that would do it.
So
Alrighty. Is there anything else you guys would like to do while Yukio and the architect are taking the day to do things? Yes, Ray.
Ray will be copying spells over from her old spellbook into the Atlas.
Okay.
I'm only going to be able to get part of the way through because, Jesus Christ, it gets expensive.
Yes, it does.
So yeah, I'm just gonna start with start chugging away on that. Probably spend about 12 hours.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Easy enough.
Unless Ray is interrupted by anybody.
No, you're left pretty much to your own devices.
Yeah, just if any other players have
Yeah.
anything, then let me know. Otherwise, Ray is just going to be whittling away on that.
All right. Anybody else doing anything? And Jeff, to catch you up on what I explained, you guys had attacked the Mistwalker's castle and found that it was controlled by Arasue, who is a member of the Mistwalkers who got a hold of the claws of Orochi. Defeating Arasue and the other members of the Mistwalkers that he had managed to ensorcel and bind to his will. You guys had successfully, defeated him, slaying Arasue and freeing the other Mistwalker triads from his grip. The architect picked up the claws, was briefly controlled or compelled by them. He nearly killed May, and then his arm was cut off. So that's where we had left things off.
Perfect.
Yeah, so the claws had been destroyed. And you guys have just kind of taken the day. It started at, just after dawn, but at least Architect, Yukio, and Ray have occupied themselves for the majority of a roughly 12-hour period.
In my defense, they were some cool-ass claws.
Yeah. If you made that save, you would have had a cool set of claws for a brief minute.
Until I needed to make another one?
Yep.
Until Yukio told you to get them off so we could destroy them.
Yep.
Whichever came first.
Mm-hmm.
Who's currently holding the big pointy?
Probably Zadis.
Yeah, typically.
Was it Zavis? I thought somebody took it.
Ray had pulled it off of Zavis's back to stick the thing. So I believe she was the one who accomplished the destruction of the claws.
Ray was very, very impatient after one of our party lost an arm.
Yep.
Can't blame you.
So it's back with Zavis at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been more expensive. Normally things like that cost an arm and a leg.
Haha. No, it's only if you try and bring your mom back. All right. Did you have further questions about the spear?
No.
Nope. Just wondering where it was. Gotcha. Right. Unless there's... yeah, Lee?
Yeah, Lee is going to try to get as much access as possible to the Mistwalkers, scrolls and their knowledge and stuff.
Okay. Please feel free to make an investigation check with advantage, as the Triad are perfectly welcoming you, and you are a direct companion of the champion of the Mistwalkers. So
nice.
Nice. I got a 23.
23. You spend a fair chunk of the day kind of leafing through the various scrolls and bits of parchment that they have, old records, basically like accounts of encounters with various kinds of demons and their common capabilities, variants that have been encountered across the ages, instructions for the creation of certain poultices, poisons, etc., some of which you are familiar with, others are unique to you. You haven't seen them prior. Different tools and instructions on how to make them and how they are most effective. You find a great plethora of things. Is there anything in particular you are looking for?
I just want to basically study up on, different kinds of ninja arts and.
Okay.
I want to see what they're all about. Check out their techniques.
The Mistwalkers, a lot of their techniques are largely focused around utilizing the power of shadow demons. You find that it's a combination of shadow sorcery, which you are faintly familiar with, and then like arcane binding arts. It seems like a lot of the power from the Mistwalkers does kind of extend from the Triad. you know that the Mistwalker Triad gain their power specifically from the shadow demon weapons that they wield. And members who are inducted into the Mistwalkers are given, or they go through a series of rites that kind of not so much bind them to the weapons, but it essentially attunes them to this kind of magic, forcibly or otherwise. So some have a natural penchant for it, but most commonly it is not a type of magic that most people can access except through, long study. But the Mistwalkers have a rite that uses the shadow demon weapons that allow them to, expedite the process of learning. So it's almost like it's like a pyramid scheme, but with warlock patrons.
Cool.
Yeah, that'd probably be the best way to put it. So yeah, getting a hold of one of the shadow demon weapons would be an effective way of learning their powers, or just spending time going through the rites of it, basically like the initiation rites. Yeah. All right, May, were you doing anything?
No, May's just kind of spending the day quietly reflecting, chatting with her, attempting to chat with her parents that are obviously no longer around. She's had a hard day after almost dying, so she'll be reflecting kind of off alone.
Gotcha. And Cirrus, is there anything that you would like to do throughout this day?
No, I guess I just kind of wander through the area, and if something catches my eye that kind of like I'd like to investigate maybe, but other than that, kind of just passing my time idly.
Okay. As you're traveling kind of along the castle grounds, looking around, you don't see anything there are a number of things that interest you. You're not an architect or anything of that sort. So it surprises you often when you look one direction, see nothing in particular, look away, look back, and then see a member of the Mistwalkers just there, even though your eyes were off that spot for a split second. You've learned enough about this place to know that it is riddled with secret passageways and hidden doors and stuff like that. So it doesn't so much come as a surprise that it happens, just the sheer volume of the number of times your eyes have passed over something for just a split second and then you look back and it is not how it was, is a little bit jarring as these individuals are just traveling. You notice that throughout the day, the castle begins to fill up with people. Several members of the Mistwalkers have returned, obviously to kind of recuperate and figure out what their next step is, because they've been under the thumb of a very, very powerful enchantment for a little while now. So, just, kind of collecting themselves. And
Yeah, I guess if that's the case, then if I have some way of helping them, reorganize themselves in this time, I might just lend a hand there.
Yeah, there's not a lot that they really ask of you or expect you to do. In fact, most of the time they simply bow to you and ask if they can help you with anything. You find that the Mistwalkers are a very respectable group.
Okay.
But they seem to have it well enough handled. It's mostly just kind of okay, everybody's, let's get a head count, who all is here. They deal with those who have passed, mourn their dead, etc. And then there are going to be meetings and discussions about beginning the next process of selection for the next triad. But with that being the case, you all take your day to accomplish your tasks. Evening approaches, and you are able to rest. So you can take your long rest, and then if it is the plan, you can head out the following day, or genuinely take as much time as you need. But you can head out the following day to Okutoro province in the west. Yes. All right. Your evening. You are not privy to any of the meetings that are going on, and the Mistwalkers are a pleasant group. Some of them fairly serious, but there is not a feast per se, but just a large, like, everybody eats together sort of night. So there's plenty of food. There's some conversation, a little bit of like gambling and small card games. Fairly muted, all things considered. It's not a somber evening, but any of the levity that would normally be found by this kind of camaraderie is sort of shadowed by the recent events. So everybody's a little bit muted after all that has happened. But the evening passes. Several of the members of the Mistwalkers ask you guys after your tales to hear tell of the things that you've accomplished and the knowledge that you are destroying the pieces of Orochi has circulated very quickly. So there's sort of a dread fascination with that. Hachi is terrified at everything that has happened in the last day and a half. But he is holding fast. He helped cook some of the evening's meal, and you guys are able to rest and head out the next morning if you'd like. All right.
Yay, my hit points.
Yes, all of your precious, precious hit points. Right. Throughout the evening, as each of you find rest, most of you find the comfort of standard sleep. Ark, your dreams are a little different.
Oh, big shot.
Not frightening, per se. But in your dreams, you are standing amongst a massive mountain range. You see it extends ahead of you and behind you, varying peaks, just kind of roughly lining up, not in a direct straight line, but straight enough. It seems to pass, and it seems the peaks get taller and taller as you're looking ahead of you, and they get lower and lower as they go behind until they eventually sink into the sea behind you. And you just see a layer of clouds up high above, even above the peaks of the mountains, and occasionally you see the twist and undulation of a large, scaly, serpentine body kind of dip below the cloud level and then make its way back up. And it just moves and twists around as you can see this space. It feels like you are standing at the top of the world. And you find yourself compelled to step forward, and when you do, you're able to leap and fly through the air from mountain peak to mountain peak. Is there anything you would like?
The first thing I'm gonna do is, like, while jumping, I'm gonna be like, "Heh, UTO ain't got shit."
You muse to yourself in your dream. You find that in your dream, your hand is as it should be.
That's boring. I can't even finger bang thing. I'm going to yell up to the big snake thingy.
Okay.
Oi! Hey, down up there!
As you shout your challenge up in the sky, you receive no response. At least not verbally. And kind of looking around and looking ahead along the ever-rising peaks, you do see that the clouds part ever so slightly and a beam of sunlight begins to pour down and alight the top of one of the mountains.
Alright, time for the big jump.
Okay.
I attempt to do a super big jump to that mountaintop.
Alright, as you gather yourself, kind of planting your feet on this mountain peak, you leap, soaring impossibly fast through the air, just wind blowing your coat and several cloaks and all of your clothing behind you as you just rocket through the air. And then eventually you approach this pillar of sunlight. You land probably about 100 feet or so from it, kind of in the lower portion. And it seems this mountaintop, it looks like the peak of a mountain, but the very tip of it has just been cleft clean off. It's at a slight angle, about 20 degrees or so, but perfectly smooth, as if it was chopped by some massive blade. A space of about 50 or so feet across, with this beam of light just kind of hitting probably a good 3/4 of it. You've landed on the edge that is just out of the sunlight. Looking into where this beam has focused, you see... It's hard to describe. Looking down, you see almost as if you're looking at a small statue to a shrine. It is a statue set on a wide, round, or I should say, oval-shaped base, like an oval disc of stone. It's rested on the ground, and then laying on that disc is a statue of a, I would say, large-sized, sinewy, lengthy serpentine dragon. Big, jagged horns kind of sweeping back across its body. You see is a finely crafted piece of stonework. The face having long, curling bits of mustache. You see sharp teeth. The eyes on this statue are closed, but the lips are pulled back in a fierce snarl, revealing just rows of sharp teeth. The body is kind of wrapped and coiled on top of itself, almost as in a resting or sleeping position. This is finely and intricately carved, but it does look weathered, as if time and weather, rain, and temperature have all done their damage to it. It's still very clearly the product of master craftsmanship, but it looks worse for wear. And you see along one of the forelimbs, all the claws have these deep cracks in them. You notice along the fangs, deep cracks, a spider web of cracks running down the scale hide. And the tail, you see, it is literally split away from there's like a section cut out that separates it away from the body. And it is dead center in that sunlight. Which is funny because it's off center from the portion of this mountaintop.
I'm going to reach in my pocket and pull out a piece of paper and stand at the edge of the sunlight and be like, I'm tougher than paper. And I'm going to throw the paper into the sunlight.
As you reach into your pocket, you find nothing.
Oh, that sucks. Is there anything on the ground?
No, it's just a flat expanse at about a 20-degree canted angle.
Alright, I'm going to stare at it and be like, oh, it's a 50-50 chance if something goes wrong. And those are good odds. And I'm going to walk into the sunlight to statue.
Alright, as you step into the sunlight, your body feels covered in warmth. The sun is very hot. And as you step forward, one of these stony, closed eyes snaps open with a very real eye. Bright, burning red, with just a gold-rimmed pupil. As its eye opens and then rotates towards you.
Okay. Man, am I not supposed to have noticed the image or what's going on? I'm gonna walk up to it. Be like, hi. Hey. Pretty sure this is a dream. I hope so.
You feel an intention enter your mind. Not quite a voice, but it makes itself understood.
Can try.
You get the impression that this statue recognizes you.
Yeah, and the art.
The statue recognizes you, and you get the sensation of urgency. You see the eye glance down at the shattered claws on one of its limbs, and then rotate back as if to look back towards its broken hide and severed tail. Its teeth, you see the whole thing shudder ever so slightly and hear the rattle of like shale stone going down a mountain as you see the teeth shift ever so slightly, the fangs rattling. tiny bits of granular stone kind of flaking off of this thing. And you get the strong impression in your mind of continue. Another sense of urgency.
All right. Yeah, I can do that.
You agree to continue?
Sure.
All right.
I'm not sure what I'm continuing, but I'll continue to continue.
The warmth begins to further suffuse your body, and you pass into a deep and comfortable sleep. You all wake up in the morning. Everybody wakes up easily. It is early dawn. Ark, you wake up after a comfortable, warm sleep. You feel more rested than you have in a long while. You normally sleep pretty well, but this is a good rest. You feel refreshed, invigorated. All right.
Slightly more on the path to evil.
I don't know if Ark can ever be evil. He can be tricked, potentially, but I don't think he can be evil.
All right. Yeah?
Nothing. I don't know. Do I remember that dream in vivid detail?
Yeah, you remember that dream very well.
Is there anything compelling me not to mention the, super trippy and clearly symbolic dream?
Yeah.
Alright. I'm going to wake up and go pee.
Okay, you wake up and go pee. Everybody else, you wake up, you're able to breakfast. The Mistwalker's castle afforded you very fine, comfortable living, or comfortable rest. Good beds. Nothing like a 5-star hotel, but it's all very well maintained, very clean. As you all collect yourselves in the morning, you find that Mizutani Chiyo, the wielder of Ginsuki, the Shadow Glaive, the female Kurura, and one of the members of the Triad, is present and has offered to guide the lot of you out of the mists to wherever you need to go, which she believes she overheard last night that you were going to Okutoro next. Who has a high passive perception outside of Architect?
Before we get on the road.
Yeah.
Before we get on the road, Ray is going to try and catch Yuki and take him aside.
Okay.
And so this is going to be all right. Yeah. If there aren't, all right. Yeah. Just take him aside. While we're still here, I think there's something you ought to know about the weapon you summon. They seem important to your clan.
Yes. What is it?
Would you summon it right now? Just
reaches arm out to the side, and the blade will appear in his hand.
Gonna
Face
cast.
backwards.
Going to cast True Sight on Yuki.
Mm-hmm.
And then direct him to look at the blade. Hopefully, he sees the same thing I saw.
As you look down at the weapon, the sword looks similar to how you've seen it, that strange kind of like black-purple metal. And it's not something you typically think about, but as you continue to look at it and focus on it with this true sight, you see like a flex, like something moving beneath the metal itself. It's very
I have
unsettling.
Seen this before while using True Sight?
What's your passive perception?
15.
15? Probably not. It was very subtle. It's something that you really kind of had to look at to pay attention to. And usually when you have True Sight up, you really just never thought to just stare at your sword.
Yeah, that's true. I usually use it for other things.
Exactly. It's usually very busy. Yes, you see this weird, like, flex, this, like, faint undulation as if, like, tendons moving beneath skin.
I won't really show any reaction to it,
Mhm.
just because I'm fully aware of what Natsuki is.
Yep.
Yes? What is your point?
It seemed the kind of corruption. I didn't want you to be caught off guard.
Out of character, these are called the Shadow Demon weapons, yes?
Yes.
Well, they are called Shadow Demon weapons for a reason.
Yes, but I was just hoping it didn't portend anything. Like, oh, I don't know, the demon breaking its bindings and going on a rampage.
How long have the weapons existed?
1,500 years, roughly.
Okay. Well, the bindings have lasted for 15 centuries. I
Ray
don't see any
shrugs.
weakness, but thank you for your concern.
That's all I got.
All right.
I'll just dismiss Natsuki, nod, and return to whatever it is I was doing at the time.
Okay. Lee,
Um,
you had a decently
the
high
other-
passive. Sorry, go ahead.
The other thing that I'll mention after Yuki dismisses Natsuki, could you remind me how the patron thingy looked?
It was a cloaked figure, and that is as much as you could see.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot if there was anything interesting in that detail while I was looking at it with True Sight, but
Off the top
yeah,
of your
it was just that
head,
it was there.
no, there wasn't anything in particular.
Okay, cool.
Alright.
Moving on.
Sirius.
I think I have the next highest passive
I
perception.
think Cirrus actually has a slightly higher passive perception, amazingly.
Mine is an 8.
Your passive perception is not an 8, it's an 18.
No. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Must
that's
have raised
pretty
their
high.
wisdom last level up or something.
I'm pretty sure you did that.
Yeah, that may very well have been. Yeah, you're right.
level ups and you're like,
Yeah.
wisdom.
Put it there. Yeah, no, you're right. That's exactly where it went to.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, you actually would have the highest, and 18 is just enough as you kind of reconvene with your companions and you look at the architect. You notice that his eyes have taken on a slightly different color. There are tiny little flecks, almost like little shards, arrayed in like a sun-like pattern. Almost, it's easy to miss just because they're dark, but you see a little like radial set of little red, almost like points or almost like splinter marks, all around his pupils, I should say. It's easy to miss. The only reason you notice is because he turned and the morning sun hit, and his eyes just took on a brilliant red cast for just a moment. You almost thought it was a trick of the light, but it was weird.
Okay. Interesting. I'm gonna hold on to that information for now.
Okay.
Before we leave, do the Mistwalkers have any information at all on Orochi and Ieyasu and all that stuff?
Make an investigation check for me.
Any chance I could get advantage for all of the other Mistwalkers helping me?
Sure.
'Cause my investigation is garbage. Okay, 19.
19. Ieyasu was an ancient and powerful emperor. Before he was an emperor, he was a warrior. He was an elf. He was not a man of the gods. He was not pious. He did not worship. He did not worship the spirits of the land either. He came to the Tengu to have them forge him a weapon that could kill a god. because that is essentially what the demon dragon Orochi was. It was tantamount to a god. So for them, they forged a god-slaying spear. And he wielded that spear in single combat against the shadow, or not the shadow, but the dragon demon Orochi. And he was able to slay Orochi, or as much as that could be done, considering how much of a force of nature that Orochi is, even more so than he is a demon or a dragon. Ieyasu found quickly that so great was Orochi's power that even death could not keep him at bay. As his essence began to coalesce and recollect, it required a separating and a binding, powerful, powerful magic to keep him from regenerating and becoming whole once more. The seals had to be maintained with a powerful sacrifice of life force. Ieyasu was not about to spend centuries sacrificing innocents in order to maintain this seal, because at that point it would feel like it went against everything that he believed. So he chose to meditate and try and reach enlightenment, to forge his own essence and being into, much like folding steel, working out the impurities to create a strong manifestation, a strong presence of himself. And then in a ritual, a magic ritual, sacrificed himself at the peak of the, I want to say, Yudai Nayama, in order to scatter his own essence across Tairiku to continue to fuel the seals and, continue to power the seals that kept Orochi sealed. This was laid out into a doctrine for all of the emperors to follow him. This was something that had to have been done by every single emperor in order to maintain these seals. You know now that with the untimely assassination of what would have been the current emperor, the seals began to weaken almost immediately. You have destroyed 4 of the pieces of Orochi, seeming to scatter its essence. And the spear, which was damaged almost beyond repair in the final battle against Orochi, has slowly been returning to its former glory. Orochi has predated any written history. It was a being that ruled this land for millennia, several millennia, before it was finally destroyed or defeated. You know there are very few accounts of Orochi that describe anything other than a great and terrible cataclysmic being. But most of the accounts align on the same basic truths. Orochi was brilliant. Orochi was incredibly powerful. And Orochi was wrathful. Those 3 things persist throughout all of the tales. Beyond that, you don't find anything in specific.
Okay. Did we ever find out from Lee more about the assassination? Other than it was him? I don't believe we did, right?
No, I don't believe he did.
Well then, before we leave, I'm gonna see if I can't speak with Lee.
Okay.
So I will approach you at some point when you're alone, which I suspect...
It's easy enough.
Yeah. It's not hard to do, like find him alone.
Simple. Okay.
Yes, you're able to find and speak with Lee.
Hello.
Hello, Master of the Mistwalkers.
He'll just kind of like shake his head a little bit. It's quite the title, isn't it?
Yeah, you're champion these days, huh?
I guess so. So, all this Orochi business has had me thinking. If you don't mind my asking, do you know who hired you to assassinate the Emperor?
I do. And can't find my notes on it.
With our recent doubts as to the origin of our quest, and clearly something took over the architect, I can only assume it's Orochi. I'm worried.
Oh, you're gonna have to remind me of that dude who I was working for.
Mr. Matsura?
Was it Matsura? See the
No. Sanemoto.
Sanemoto, that's
Yes,
right.
that's right. Sanemoto, yes. Sanemoto, you remember, an elf of tanned skin and long hair. Was some manner of mage, though he kept most of his talents secret, and he was a close confidant to Mr. Matsura. You didn't quite understand his position other than he was familiar with the government. You don't know if he was actually a member of it, but he was an associate of Mr. Matsura. And very few people questioned Mr. Matsura because very few people knew what Mr. Matsura did.
Right. And he basically manipulated me by like seeing promise in me and giving me like important contracts and whatnot.
You were brought into a fold called the Order of the Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a group that was promised to ensure that Tairiku stayed on the correct path and kept the citizens safe. And it was deemed eventually by the Order of the Dragon that the Emperor was not on the correct path and he would need to be replaced quickly.
Yeah, so I info dump Yukio on that.
Okay. Without reservation?
No, because this is important, and
Okay.
I recognize that I was manipulated.
All right. Emperor Suejima was slain by the Order of the Dragon, who you have never heard of. This name, Sanemoto, doesn't mean anything to you. The description of an elf of tan skin and long hair is pretty nondescript. Anybody who's worked with Mr. Matsura, you've only been slightly familiar with Mr. Matsura, but he clearly is essentially a magistrate that heads the royal assassins or the imperial assassins.
He did try to kill us.
Yes, he did try to kill you guys. And you wonder who this Sanemoto might be. You are kept fairly apprised of at least some important figures in the government, just because it may be relevant to your jobs at one point or another. Mm-hmm. But you've never heard the name Sanemoto.
I guess it might be worth mentioning before I was sort of manipulated into joining that order. I was like an official assassin for the Emperor.
Yeah, you were an imperial assassin.
Yeah.
Trained from a very young age.
Okay. Well, I guess we have more in common than it seems on the surface. I too was trained from a very young age in my arts.
Guess that might be a common thing among people who need to kill without reservation.
Does make sense. So, This Order of the Dragon is very suspiciously named, to put it mildly. I've absolutely never heard of them, which is odd.
Extremely odd.
It's a fairly new covenant, right?
At least that's what you were told.
Yeah.
Especially the line of keeping them on the right path, and I don't know. I'm suspicious of this Sanemoto.
He seems to be, well, I thought he was a wise leader at first, but now I'm not so sure. I think his intentions were probably ill.
I would very much like to know if he is potentially working for Orochi.
Order of the Dragon, Orochi's a dragon, that makes sense.
Exactly. And their colors are red, right? If I remember correctly, out of character.
Whose colors?
The Order of the Dragon. Like their wardrobe is red and black, or something like that. Or am I just imagining that?
You are imagining that.
Okay. I thought for some reason their outfits were red.
My mask is red.
Yeah, but...
Yeah.
Well, definitely giving me a lot to think about. How much of this are you comfortable with the others knowing?
Everyone except Architect. Just kidding. Let's tell him everything.
Everything?
What? Gosh.
I feel it's
Yeah.
important to inform them at least about the order and this Sanemoto.
Yeah. I mean, if only we didn't have a couple of klutzes in our group. We could share all the information.
Well, we'll have to deal with it, I suppose. They're very useful klutzes.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
All right. Are you planning on informing the others of what was going on before you leave, or keeping that to yourselves?
Yeah, I kind of want to spread the information and see if anyone else has maybe heard of Sanemoto, or if anyone has any ideas as to, I don't know, what might be going on. Because now I'm kind of worried.
Well, in being gathered together, you are told the name of Sanemoto and something called the Order of the Dragon. It seems to be heavily involved in imperial politics. Anybody who is proficient in history may make a history check.
I am. Got a plus
17.
Oh no, I don't have history.
17 total for Ray. All right. Anybody else? Okay.
I'll roll.
Are you proficient?
In history?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I am.
Okay.
And just for some spice, why not? I'll flash it. So 19 plus 9 plus 5.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
You know all.
It's funny. The way you come across this this knowledge was this conclusion that you are drawing has very little to do with the actual history that has been explained. You remember in reading about Tairiku and learning as best you can, Sanemoto. That's a name that you remember reading in a children's fable.
Oh.
No.
Sanemoto was the disguise the alter ego of a god who was wrongfully cast out of heaven. And so it took the guise Sanemoto and convinced many a mighty warrior to open up heaven's gates so that it could return.
I share this information willingly.
All right.
I tell it
Yukio's
in a
face.
fable style.
You just kind of see the color drain out of Yukio's face a bit.
So, with that, pointing in the directions of a children's fable, would the 17 buy me any more purchase, or just, oh yeah, I remember that?
As you're thinking, you remember... Wait, Sonic... Yeah, no, I remember reading that. I remember reading that story as a child. Actually, yes. You... Let me get my document here, because this is some good rolls and some thoughts. You remember that your father is a powerful lord in the Empire. There are, in your homeland, there are several powerful nobles that serve the Empire, and your family was close to one other family, and Lord Mizuno. Sorry, just trying to make sure my names are right because it's been a minute since I have looked at that. Yeah, so your family was close to one other family that were powerful nobles, and he's Lord Mizuno, his wife Issei. They were close personal friends of your parents, or your father and his wife. You remember specifically being very small and being gathered with their children as well as your sibling, all, being read these various stories, and it was Lady Issei that took the time to read these stories to you. And that's the only memory that stands out to you. You're like, oh yeah, that's Lord and Lady Mizuno. That's a story that I remember from spending, your early summers in their estate.
Okay.
Beyond that, nothing.
Well, this has me even more worried.
All the more reason to complete our quest as quickly as possible.
Yes.
Ray is still like 90% convinced that this is.
I'm just worried that this Sanemoto is... Well, now I'm worried he is Orochi. Before I was worried he was working for Orochi, but that fable definitely paints a very clear picture.
There are a lot of arrogant men in this country that would love to paint themselves as a god, demon or no.
But a lot of those men are not whispering in the ear of a leader of an order of assassins who assassinated the Emperor before he could reinforce the seal on Orochi.
If I had to guess, Samemoto will most likely be a pawn, not the dragon himself.
Either way, if Orochi is behind the death of the Emperor...
Well, how about this?
How do we know that he's not also behind our mission? Hold on, I'm forgetting his name.
We are strong enough to destroy many of the pieces, and we do have the benefit of being followed. I suppose we could make a scene and try to draw Matsura out.
I forget, what was the Tengu's name who made the spear? I had it written down, but I guess it didn't save in my notepad.
It's funny. You actually didn't get his name.
No, we
Really?
got the.
I thought we did.
We got the Lord's name.
You got Sojobo,
Sojobo.
who is
And then
the most powerful
Sojobo's-
Tengu, and it was Sojobo's brother who forged.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But Sojobo was, or
His
forged
name
him
is
in adamant.
Kaizen, if you want the
Okay.
actual name of the smith.
Well, I'll just rephrase then.
Yeah.
The Tengu were incredibly adamant that Ieyasu couldn't possibly have shown himself to us, and everything I've read here supports that he was completely destroyed, as they said. So, who visited us with this quest?
Well, we have one lead, and I'll reiterate my suggestion. We make a scene. We wait for Mitsura. We capture, and then she clicks her tongue.
That would certainly be a way to learn more of the Order.
Yes, Architect?
Ark is going to perk up at the sound of a scene. The idea of making a scene exciting. But
Yes, May?
I'm gonna say we're not the best at getting information from captured folks. I'm also concerned that we still don't know if destroying the pieces is actually beneficial or if we're only making things worse for us.
Right.
That's
So
my exact fear.
we could find out by destroying them all.
I'm not a huge fan of that method. I always feel that fairy tales and fables are so honestly based in fact, and I have my concerns.
I can confirm that many in this land are.
So, the other recommendation I have is we go to the capital and push our. We go to the capital and push our cause there, and try to get information from whomever is willing. The leads that we have won't be willing to talk, but we can try and force them, or we can go to the source of all this.
I would agree with that if the last two people you tried to interrogate didn't all of a sudden end up with a bad case of not put together anymore.
Well, you don't have the worst point, Architect. I seem to remember you've recently killed me. Or tried.
If I recall correctly, you got killed by the weakest member of the party.
I mean, strength doesn't really dictate backstabbing, and
I'm pretty sure I front stabbed. Thank you very much. The moral of the story is, which way's the next piece? Because I think that would be a great direction to get started.
can I get an insight check?
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll a deception check, Architect.
Even.
I rolled like poopa-doopa.
I did too.
How much, honey?
15.
Okay.
I rolled a 6, but I got a +9 in that shit.
That's a 3 word.
Oh!
Architect seems pretty adamant about continuing your quest to destroy the pieces of Orochi. Not quite, like, fervent, but he just keeps reiterating the point, and it's the most focus you've seen in him ever. So...
Architect, I don't mean to be
Then don't.
helpful. We just voiced all of our concerns with going after the pieces. Why are you so sure we should?
I mean, if you're going to be sure about anything, you should be sure about something.
I mean, that sounds like all the other logic you've had in the past, so that checks out. Okay.
I, for one, think we should get more information before we continue. We've destroyed half the pieces.
Oh, dang. I don't have that spell.
If there was risk of Orochi's return, perhaps we've at least delayed it. If that is what we are doing and not, in fact, bringing it about, then we're halfway done and has to have accomplished something.
I have an interesting thought.
Go ahead.
We could try to find a way to destroy the 7-branch spear. We destroy 7 pieces of Orochi and play chicken with him. Save the last, so that if destroying all of them actually helps to bring him back, he won't come back. But if he does come back, because destroying them was supposed to prevent him from coming back, then he's in as weakened a state as possible from having all but one piece destroyed.
I mean, I wouldn't destroy the spear, but that's only from the perspective of somebody with insight into, being smarter.
That's not a bad plan. Although,
it's not a good one either.
Remember, with each piece we destroy, the spear is slightly restored. So, what if by the time we destroy 7 pieces, none of us are capable of destroying the spear any longer?
We could ask the smith.
True, we would have to trek back to the Gensei-yama.
Not necessarily.
Magic?
There are spells that allow conversation at quite a distance. I'm sure.
This is true.
I'm sure that I could find such a spell in your archives. It would take me.
Wink.
it would take me some, perhaps a day to learn. Some resources, but it would be far shorter than getting back to the mountain.
Well, I have no issue with sharing the knowledge.
Okay. Yes, Ark.
So what are we destroying? In which direction are we going?
As of this time, nothing. Why are you so insistent?
Can I at least cause a scene? There was somebody mentioning causing a scene earlier.
I say we speak to the smith first and see what information we can glean there. And depending on the results of that conversation, we can talk about our next source of information. I would say flushing out Matsura would be our best bet. I don't want to gamble with the politics of the country. I've always found that if you put your faith in the government, it tends to hurt in the end.
Man, you guys are no fun. You won't let me cause a scene. You won't let me destroy stuff. Then you're trying to break the coolest stick I've seen yet.
I don't take it anyone happens to know a super sage and powerful wizard we could ask about this kind of potential magic. Do you?
I mean, you mean the communication magic or the?
No, I mean, if there's ever been some kind of ritual involved in destroying, I don't know, phylacteries or some stuff.
I mean the. If anybody knows how to destroy the 7-branch spear, I would have to say it was the one that forged it.
No, I don't want to know about destroying it. I was wondering if this kind of magic would have ever been heard of? If it's possible to destroy items to make some form of resurrection spell almost?
That would be far more obscure.
I was just hoping.
So wait, what? Are you talking about like putting a bunch of stuff into one thing, shaking it up, breaking it, and then having a whole piece?
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, May, but I believe May was just wondering if there was ever a spell known where the destruction of things would cause a resurrection.
Yeah.
I certainly don't know.
While we destroy the pieces, we're not just destroying, we're restoring the spear.
Right.
So the spear could then become a conduit for Orochi to return, perhaps.
You have not examined the spear in some time.
Let's do that.
I don't see what this argument is. Pieces bad, spear good, spear fixing, pieces breaking. I don't get why everybody's so upset about this all of a sudden.
You know, Architect, you're being uncharacteristically not curious right now.
Oh, I'm curious. I'm curious why we didn't get to make a scene.
You make a scene everywhere you go, Architect. You'd think a day away from it wouldn't be the worst.
Honestly,
we've already done our beach episode.
I am surprised we haven't been attacked by Matsura more often.
We have been keeping a low profile, and we did spend a decent amount of time in what amounts to a haunted forest and also a semi-imaginary mountain, so I'm not too surprised. Also,
the forest and the
just
mountain,
as
I'll
the
grant
karst
you.
around us,
Mm-hmm.
I doubt he could find us here.
I love semi-imaginary mountain. It's my new. It's gonna be my new Discord handle.
Is he the cool hat guy?
Yes.
He sure is.
Oh yeah, maybe he's just hat shopping.
Order of operations: examining the spear. 1, 2. Learning message so we can talk to what's his face.
Message.
Yeah. Are you gonna be casting
Or
it?
sending.
Or sending. Yeah, sending. Sorry. Right. Order of operations: examine spear, learn sending, talk to dude. Based on that, the results of that conversation, get more information via Matsura? Question mark.
Yeah, it seems to be like after that, our paths are either gonna be figure out more about the Order and Matsura and all that jazz, or based on what the Tengu tells us, continue with what we're doing.
Right.
Which is getting increasingly sketchy the more we learn. At least to me.
Alright, well, first things first. Spear examined.
Oh, hold the phone.
Phones in this world?
Architect. You have an incredible memory, yes?
Ah, yes. I remember everything, except for the stuff I forgot. That stuff is hard to remember.
Okay. Do you recall, or rather, do I recall what the figure who was posing as Ieyasu looked like?
Yeah, a figure with porcelain skin, cracks running all through it, brilliant golden eyes, and long silvery hair, the skin pallid, wearing just common, like, brown cloak and cloth.
Okay. Well, never mind. That sort of... I was thinking, what if perhaps it was, you know, this tan-skinned elf? But, I mean, it still could be with an illusion, you know. But the porcelain skin sort of throws that a little bit.
Mm.
Did you say cracked porcelain skin?
Yeah, as if like a porcelain doll with those fine spiderwebbing cracks just running across his face.
Vision.
All right. Are we examining the spear then, or what's the plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless anybody else has anything else, yeah.
Spear first.
How you examine?
I'm guessing everybody... Unfortunately, I've used my level.
Well, guess what, buddy? I'll slap you on the back. No, just kidding. But once you communicate that, I'll just cast it on you myself.
Oh, no, we're doing that in character.
Okay, fine.
It's just like, Oh, well, I can't cast that. And then Yuki, I'm guessing, just like grabs her shoulder or something.
Well, I mean, if you say that you can't cast it, I'm like, oh, well, I actually know that technique, so I'll just like touch your forehead and yeah.
Ray's eyes go abnormal, just the cat dilation.
Well, if it's my spell, then they would coat over with a purple sheen.
Oh,
Mhm.
So
neat. Also,
Also,
Spell was that?
yeah.
True
Vague,
sight.
like shy, like if you poke her in the middle of the forehead, she kind of like blushes, turns down, and like very immediately goes into study mode.
yeah, semi-Itachi sort of. I'll just be like, boop.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Just a
still
light
getting
touch on the forehead.
that's getting a embarrassment / awkwardness out of her.
Oh yeah.
While looking through True Sight, the only things you notice is that the spear itself is brilliant. Looking at it, you can see like just very faint veins of golden light running through it. Beyond that, just looking at the spear, you don't see anything.
Arcana roll.
Yeah. Also, you have.
I've cast detect magic on it before.
Yeah.
But that hasn't.
Do you have identify the spell?
Probably. Sorry, I'm digging through my stuff.
It's alright. High level wizards, man.
Yeah.
You kick the trunk open and begin rifling through everything.
I just imagine them with like those old
Yeah,
little boxes with all the cards in it.
Yeah,
like you're
the
flipping through 'em.
Rolodex.
Yeah, a Rolodex. That's
yeah. I've got identify. I'll cast that as a ritual.
All right, you take some time to cast identify, and it seems the spear has some traits now. As previously, your identify just got a mucky and murky, hard to read mix of magical auras.
I did do that on it before. Yeah.
Now, after slaying 4 pieces of Orochi, it has some traits, which I have linked in the chat.
Oh my.
Oh my god.
Okay.
So these are good things.
Mm-hmm.
I'll communicate them out.
Okay.
Well, positive information so far.
Yeah.
I like this.
For the audience, you will learn that the 7-branch spear, at approximately, you would guess, half power, has a +3 bonus to attack and damage rolls, and it deals an additional 2d8 radiant damage on attacks. On top of that, when you hit any creature with the dragon type, it deals an additional 3d12 damage of the weapon's type.
So much damage.
Quick, Cirrus, claim it before Zavis can.
Yeah, well, Zavis is unaware.
Zavis is here. They're just cardboard cutouts,
Yeah.
Zavis.
Sure.
Seeing as it is a spear, all of you are proficient with it, most likely.
That is true.
Not my
I
style,
am a
unfortunately.
wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, something tells me that if I used another weapon, mine would get angry.
Yes. Architect.
Art's going to be like, as the most physically weak of the group, I could use something like this spear to actually be useful in battle.
Insight check.
Yeah, Cirrus with like the knowledge of, I guess hidden knowledge of potentially some kind of mischievous architect shenanigans.
Yeah, so you both can make insight checks.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay. I don't know if it's so much of an insight for me that I already recognize something as strange with him.
I mean, if you recognize something as strange, you can simply make decisions and say things.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be hunky dory with architect taking the spear. No, I think being the one who uses the spear for the most part, I probably should be the one that takes it, at least for now. and I will go to take it.
Okay.
You are the most practiced with pole arms among us.
That is
Ray
true.
will 100% back you.
Okay.
Alright.
Just effusively.
Zavas just kind of shrugs. He's like, I like my sword.
That's true. You are attached to that thing. Like, why would I take that away from you? That special bond you have with that.
I briefly think about wielding the spear. Natsuki vibrates at me in its pocket dimension.
Yeah.
That's just kind of what I'm picturing.
You just hear in the back of your head.
Yeah.
Serious,
you might be in an unhealthy relationship with your sword.
This weapon distinctly does not require attunement, so you can simply wield it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
That is crazy.
Vera's already had the most OP weapon, and now she has both of them.
Good shit.
Alright. I'm gonna cast Detect Thoughts on this thing.
On the spear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I get anything?
That's one thinking ass piece of wood.
Thinking ass piece of wood is my other Discord handle.
I like it.
The text is, if the creature you choose has an intelligence of 3 or lower, the creature is unaffected. I initially learned surface level thoughts. It's a save of 16 for any kind of effect.
Okay. In looking at the spear, you don't gather thoughts. You get sensations, though. You're kind of focusing on the spear. You see flashes, brief, just fragmented images. They kind of dance across your mind. You can't. You just at a glance, without further focusing, you don't gather any. They are just rapid, quick little images that are there and then gone for a moment. So you would have to take an action to further down.
Okay, so the fact that the spear has anything that comes with Detect Thoughts is weird as fuck in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's information worth communicating. I'll just say to the group, so I reached out with my mind, and it has... I think the spear can think.
I'm surprised you even thought to read its thoughts.
Well, if it's supposed to be we fear that it is the conduit for the demon dragon to return. I thought that might be... Yeah, so I'm going to use that as an excuse to so Detect Thoughts is just like a thing that I can do.
Well, Detect Thoughts, as it comes up initially in the text, you sense any surface level thoughts, and then you can choose to probe further.
Yes, I would like to do that.
Okay. I already rolled the save for that. As you probe further, your mind sinks into these memories. These images begin kind of coalescing and layering, almost like stills being layered one after the next, creating a scene, like the flip book style pictures. As you follow the perspective, it's a weird first person perspective, very strange, as this figure whose experience you're following is amidst a wide open field, and as the figure is moving, dashing, you see coming up in front of the face the 7-branch spear. The figure turns, pivots on one foot. You see a gout of world-scarring flame tear across the landscape at least a quarter of a mile. It's just your perspective seeing a quarter of a mile, just cutting a swath through the ground of just raw, ragged fire. Inches away, you can feel for a moment the heat of this blast. It should have charred you to the bone, but some protection keeps you safe. This figure continues to turn, running, head spinning wildly, eventually seeing the large, twisting form of a truly colossal red serpentine dragon as it twists in the air and dives down towards him. You see the spear flourish, come down to one side. You see another hand, a man's hand, wrap. It's covered in just brilliant golden armor as it just grips onto the spear, and then you feel this imagery leap forward, striking forward towards the dragon, and as its face becomes everything that you can see, you snap back to your reality.
Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes
I was thinking it.
Ray is like out of breath, just kind of shaken. She starts shivering. You can hear her teeth kind of clacking together, and the whole cat hackles up, tail pooped, just completely fucked up.
Yes, Architect?
Ark's gonna look up and go, I want what she's having.
Are you okay? Are you okay, Ray?
But takes a couple of seconds, deep breaths, kind of shuffles over toward May and grabs hold of a leg and goes, I had no idea that was... I saw the battle between Ieyasu and the demon dragon.
You gather
It
from
was intense, to say the least.
I will say that you gather from your experience that this object is not a thinking thing, but it does contain memory.
Don't do that.
The spear is burnt with the memories of the one that wielded it.
And they will gently pat Ray's head, give her like the scritchy between the ears. Oh, that's interesting.
I have no reason to believe it's a conduit to the demon dragon. If anything, it would seem to be a conduit to Ieyasu. But...
And it seems some part of Ieyasu still lives. If only his memories.
So the memory... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I wonder what the Tengu would have to say about that.
Yes, Architect?
Ark's gonna be like, so Ray says it and it's okay, but I say that this is a good stick and I'm paranoid and being suspicious?
He said suspiciously.
Well, Ray did just read its mind? Not mind. Memories?
She esophagus explodes people and I'm the non-trustworthy one?
No one said you were untrustworthy, Ark.
Oh wait, I wouldn't actually know if they're making insight checks on me.
Yeah,
That's
no.
third-party knowledge.
Correct.
You guys can't be using third-party knowledge like that. I don't know. A lot of questions coming my way. Normally it's, what are you doing? And stop doing that, not why.
Honestly, I think usually we're too exhausted by you to question.
That's a good point.
That's definitely my perspective.
That's a good stance to stay in.
In a friendly way.
Well, alright, so the next portion is... Are we spending the time to learn sending and have that conversation?
Oh yes. Especially now that we know that the spear contains Ieyasu's memories, because he was adamant that he was gone. 100%, so.
Question for... Jeez.
Little old me.
Yeah, so sending is a 3rd level spell. I've got plenty of spell slots. However, our conversation will be in segments of 25 words apiece. It's 25 words out, 25 words back. And then I have to cast 3rd level spell slot again. We can probably have a decent conversation. I don't know if... I haven't looked into whether or not there are better communication spells. Like, I don't know.
I feel like there is.
Discord the spell.
Yeah, that's the big thing about fantasy settings is instantaneous communication is often very difficult to come by because that's a game changer.
Yeah. I feel like there is one more.
The higher level spell there is, the higher level the spell is, the longer it's going to take me to learn, but it's going to be under a day or 2.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, the time is well spent for this.
The only thing that would work would be...
There are sending stones, I remember, but those are like ritually created items, which take a lot.
Yeah.
And we would have to travel anyway to give him the stone, so I think sending is our best option.
Is sending not a divination spell?
I think it's transmutation.
They just don't have like any kind of like carrier pigeon or
Messages
long-term or long-distance message.
They do have a method of doing that. Yukio has used it several times.
I do, yes, but the issue is...
Evocation, babe.
Weird.
Wow, it is evocation. That is so weird. Let me see if I can...
manifesting. So, in my mind, in my mind as a physicist nerd, it makes sense because you're essentially manifesting sound waves.
Fair enough, yeah. But message is transmutation. So...
consistency in the set. Consistency in D&D is not...
Yeah.
Consistently inconsistent.
So, I mean, contact other planes seems like it might work, but that's 5th level, so...
I mean, I could learn it
No,
today.
it's against Sayama technically counts as another plane. So... Other than that... Oh, telepathic bond.
You have to bind to the creature first.
Like, yeah, touch range first. Or 8th level evocation, which you don't have access to, correct?
No.
Yeah.
Highest I can do is 6th.
Yeah, that would be the answer, is telepathy, but can't do that yet, so.
Gotcha.
But the issue that I have with my messaging system,
it takes time both ways. It's snail mail.
Well, that, and I don't think that the bird could get there, because you have to take a very specific way into the Gensayama, and it will take the shortest path. Like, I don't think I can direct it through
that. Like that ornate of a direction that you can give it. It's just
because I give it a description of who I want it to give the message to and where they are.
Sure.
It goes there, it delivers the message. And yeah, I don't think I can do that.
That's a fair assessment. Yeah, it seems sending is probably your best bet if you want to specifically contact Kaizen.
Okay, well, where are we heading to after this? What is like? Let's say we took care of the messaging portion. Where would we be heading towards?
Well, either way, we're going west. Whether or not it's to destroy a piece or try and flush out the Order of the Dragon or what.
So couldn't we just head west and maybe have like one of your fastest like people run towards there to deliver the message and then meet us in the west?
mean,
and that way we cover ground.
Even then, it's probably worth me learning sending prior to that.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I don't know how reliable that would be. Just because again, getting to the Gensei-yama.
Yeah, can the path even be described? Like,
and like I'm pretty sure the mountain can just kind of like decide to not let you in. Also, if it feels like it. So.
Sure. All right. Oh, that's fair.
It is the transient world mountain. It is both there and not there.
Yeah.
Also, don't forget about the weird ass guardian at the base. That's just like, hi.
That was my friend.
If we sent a low level ninja, they would probably just get you.
Okay.
But yeah, other than going back ourselves, which would be time consuming, which again we have time, but yeah, I think magic is our best bet.
Really, backtracking, I wouldn't recommend, just in general, because we've got a lot of people that are probably very pissed at us right now.
True, but we could also fly, probably, because I think, like, Ark can make flying potions, right?
I can make stuff fly. I can do
They don't last a terribly long time, but
10 minutes at a time or something.
Alright, so first of all, the question is, can we find a copy of Sending somewhere in...
Yeah, easy enough. You're able to find Sending as the spell. I'm not going to make a kerfuffle about that. You guys are able to get that, and you are able to learn it. It probably only takes you a little while.
There are actually highly specific rules about how to learn spells like this, so
it's like,
I'll look that up real quick.
I would say it's X amount of hours per spell level, or something like that.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like a late night. I think it's 2 or 3 per spell level.
I'm pretty sure it's 2 hours per spell level, so it would take you 6 hours to learn.
Right.
So we can hand wave that. That's not an issue.
Yep, and then
the materials are provided for you because you just need quality ink and parchment.
Oh, okay.
They have an abundance.
Pay the gold.
Yeah, they have an abundance.
That sounds good.
Alright, so you do learn of the Sending spell.
Cool. I will add that to my spell book. And then after 6 hours, I'm assuming it's kind of like midday-ish.
Yeah, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon at this point.
Yeah, Ray will emerge from the study. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, while Ray is learning Sending, May would like to actually find somewhere vaguely private to cast Commune.
Okay. You kind of find yourself sequestered in a room, and let me get Commune up so I know exactly what's going on.
Before I sound stupid and call him like ayahuasca or whatever, could you remind me of the name?
Ieyasu.
Ieyasu, not the spirit desert juice. Okay.
No.
Ieyasu. Sorry, it's been a hot minute and I'm bad at names.
It's okay.
My whole backstory, so you're good.
Huh? Ieyasu. Ieyasu. Ayahuasca. Okay.
We all throwing up here, fam.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were getting a spell if I'm preparing.
I have them ready.
Okay. May will find as quiet as possible, private place. I would assume if there's like a temple, I would be doing this out in the like courtyard.
Yeah. It's a castle, so you find like a small garden that they have set up. It's a very practical garden. It's not pretty. It's mostly just for food. But it's enough. It's living things.
Somewhere where it's, normal to just sit and chill and talk to your gods for a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you begin your ritual, your kodama begin to apparate around you and appear like a little chorus line.
Hello, my babies. I'm sorry, you're not babies. You're gods. Okay. We had a bad start. I respect you. You guys have been around longer than honestly a lot of the fables that I've grown up learning. So I was hoping you could answer 3 questions for me. If you don't know the answers, that's okay. I know it's beyond you. Not in a bad way. Oh my gosh. Okay. Is the Ieyasu that we're answering to, is it Ieyasu?
There's a long pause as the Kodama seem to kind of like turn and look at each other wordlessly. Your question was, is the Ieyasu you have spoken to the Ieyasu? Is that what your question is?
That's how I worded it, so yeah, we'll do that.
Is that what you intended?
Like, is the one we're talking to, does he seem like he's Ieyasu?
Okay.
Does he seem off? Is kind of my intention.
Got you. Eventually, the Kodama turn and they give you sort of just a no shake of their heads.
If does the one claiming to be Ieyasu, do they have evil intentions?
The response is just an unclear kind of shrug. They're not sure.
Okay. And I'm sure if there's gods or spirits or wizards or anything out there that have the kind of knowledge in magic that I'm looking for, I think it would be you. Have you ever, in your stage lives, witnessed any kind of powerful resurrection magic that required the destruction of phylacteries or magical items?
Again, the answer is unclear. The answer is more complicated than they can relay with the limitations of the spell, unfortunately. So they give you another unclear shrug.
After
One of them falls on its butt and scratches its head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After receiving her last answer, she's just gonna bow deeply and then reach out her hand and just high five each little one around her and bow again.
You take a while because there are like 40 of them.
Each one.
You know, tap, 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 tap. It's just the good game, good game, good game, good game of all the...
A line.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
As they kind of fade from view.
Stand up, brush off her armor, and just kind of slowly walk back to where she suspects the party was.
It's like the Phineas and Ferb meet with Candace kicking the door open. Mom, holy fuck! No. Yeah, you return right about the time that Ray reemerges after having spent some cram hours studying and learning a spell.
Yes, so Ray reemerges, and then we've got messages in 25-word chunks. We can either try to assemble those messages via the party, or we can just let my dumbass try and compose them on the fly.
I think that's some of the best fun, but that's up to you. Oh, before you send your message, the message is, however many it is, I just wanted, in case it changes any wording or anything we need to ask, I consulted with the Kodama, and unfortunately, talking to gods or demigods or whatever isn't always super black and white. Their
This
answers
is
are,
why I prefer papers.
I mean, I chill. I hang out with these little guys every day, and that's okay. But
I
they
hang out with my books. She kind of hugs her tome close to her.
I hang out with my
That,
knives.
that's the "you need friends" expression.
they couldn't answer everything I asked them, but I did specifically ask them if Ieyasu, the one who is supposedly guiding us, is Ieyasu as we understand it, and they said no. They don't
That
think
is.
that that's the spirit of Ieyasu.
Ray bites down so hard on her lip she draws blood.
If there was
Ikio
any,
just kind of looks down contemplatively.
it could mean anything, but that doesn't seem to be the spirit of Ieyasu. So I don't know what it means. I could have even asked the wrong question. I mean, I could have messed up, but I think it means something.
Well, I mean, they were pretty adamant about him being gone, so I suppose that shouldn't be a surprise. It's a bit of a disappointment, though.
Well, we all had a dream about the goddess initially, and it could be her in disguise, right?
Solid logic.
That could be it.
Just throwing that out there.
It's a possibility I hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
True,
potentially.
but then the question comes, well, like, did we... None of us really recognize this goddess, right?
It was a Lumini. Was that it?
Let me get my documents. Sorry.
Lumini, the goddess of prophecy.
Yeah, Umanai, the goddess of prophecy. You vaguely, like you guys, what little information any of you could recall is that she is a goddess of prophecy. A very, very lesser known god.
Just to refresh my memory, didn't Ray recognize the crow that was leading us up the Genseyama?
Just that it was a Yatagarasu, a crow that leads people to their destinies.
Gotcha. But also as a messenger of the gods in general. Gotcha. All right. All right. Yeah. This news has Ray super fucking frazzled. While everybody else is talking, she'll slam down her tome, rip it open to the page that she just scrawled sending on, cast it with, she's overly formal, so she'll probably cast it for the master of the house first.
Sojobo?
Yep.
Yeah. We have to wait for it tomorrow, though.
Oh, right, yep.
You have to prepare it.
On the topic...
I can actually use my Atlas of Endless Horizons to hot swap.
Oh, sick.
Nice. Well, before this happens, kind of want to just react to this. The goddess of prophecy. I have two thoughts. Either
I have one as well.
She was posing as this image of Ieyasu to encourage us to pursue this destiny that we have, or alternatively, a lesser-known goddess of prophecy is a very convenient illusion to use to get someone to do your bidding.
That sounds paranoid.
I agree, and I have a suggestion for a course of action. We try to find followers, some temple of Lumini, and ask them to give us a communion.
That is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
That hadn't even occurred to me.
That is great.
Yes, Ark?
Why do we all of a sudden seem to be the planning guy? Like, he backstabbed a demon!
I mean,
What?
with all due respect, Ark,
For one. Go ahead, sorry.
Our mission was pretty much go to 8 places, destroy 8 things, but now it's become a little more confusing, so I think we need to do a little more planning than just going and stabbing and...
I, for one, have always advocated for planning before we go on anything, so...
That's true.
Like let the record reflect.
Yeah, let the record show that I've been doing this the whole time.
I feel like our lovely friend here with the big sword is probably on my side to just get back to what we need to do.
Zavis has been checked out for hours. He is really drunk at this point. Like he's gotten in a few. Like he's basically like standing in his fundoshi with a sword, drunk on wine, trying to sword fight several of the members of the Mistwalkers. He is so beyond checked out.
Well, I mean, Architect, at first it was very cut and dry, very simple. Orochi was returning. Stop him by destroying his remaining pieces. But with the information we've gathered along the way, it's become a lot less clear. I would think that you would definitely want to investigate this.
Oh, well, yeah, I like looking at stuff and investigating stuff, but we've been sitting around with our thumbs in our canisters all day. We ain't investigated nothing.
We investigated the spear. Ray investigated several scrolls.
Ray's always reading
God,
stuff.
what were you doing?
Oh, what was I doing? I'm glad you asked. What was I doing?
I don't know. What were you doing for 6 hours?
I was,
Would you have still been working on your hand?
Hand's been done.
Tries to pretend I wasn't walking around the wooded area finding random animals and going, bang!
Yeah, just, what was I doing? Well, I'm glad you asked. Just quick cuts to him jumping out of a bush, bang! And then just deer scattering.
I was doing
important
important research in the surrounding areas regarding our future mission. Bang!
Hey, that's pretty cool.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's actually a mechanical marvel, honestly. The fact that the hand articulates nearly as well as a proper limb is quite excellent.
I would assume in the world of D&D it's relatively new since it was just dropped with like the most recent recent stuff, wasn't it?
I mean, the artifice in this setting is particularly rare. So anybody who's seen a prosthetic has seen a mundane one at this point. Yours is probably one of the first magical prosthetics that has at least one that's largely mechanical.
Yeah, I'm good at stuff and junk.
Yes, May?
You know, Ark, maybe I am being rude. I've never seen someone make an entire arm like that, and I guess you could deserve some slack after doing that.
I get what you're trying to say, May. You can touch it.
Thank you. Is it real? How does it work?
Here, if Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't mind, we can get you one made too.
I'll pass.
I'll just kind of shoot him a semi-venomous glare.
Oh, it's fine to cut my arm off, but anybody else's arm's fucking sacred all of a sudden.
Listen, Ark. We're possessed.
Ark is the perfect analog for a cat. No sense of consequences for his own actions, but just utter indignation at anybody who would stand in his way.
Yeah.
Kilo sticking his booty hole in our glass of water. How dare you knock me off the table? Fuck you! I love.
Oh my god, I get so angry at Cupid when he does that.
You put on an evil glove. It makes you attack your friends. I chop off the evil glove.
I'm just saying.
Evil glove. Evil Glove, third great name for the evening.
You're welcome.
Friends, I think we have more important things to attend to.
Then get to it. Bang!
Spends the next 2 minutes rolling up this little piece of paper. One-handed.
Clink.
Okay, right. So I'll use my Atlas of Endless Horizons to swap out a third level prepared spell.
That is a baller ass
I'll
magic
drop-
item too. I fucking love it.
Yeah,
Sounds pretty cool.
I will drop Dispel Magic
Okay.
for that. Actually, I'll drop Dispel Magic because the other option is Counter Spell, and I love.
Odds are you guys will be traveling for several days, so you will have time to change out your spells anyway. So it's I will say it's less important here. Just whatever you end up doing.
Yep, sending is happening.
All right. So you're addressing
the first-
Sojobo, was I believe the intention?
The first one, the first person I'm going to address is
First
Sojobo.
question before we get doing this: do we want to take a break and then come back?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah,
We're going to take a short break and be back to finish it out. We probably won't go much past 9 o'clock tonight or midnight for you guys. So, all right. We'll be back shortly. Thank you. And we return. So, getting back to it, we were about to have Ray, who has just learned a new spell and has swapped it out with her new grimoire, such as it is going to be contacting, you said, Sojobo?
Sojobo first because Ray is pissed, and also when she gets pissed, she falls into formality.
Very formal. Gotcha.
Yep.
All right.
So Sojobo first, and the first 25 words are going to be spent just being incredibly formal and running through the routine of Master of the House, I beseech you to da 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 da, as wordy as humanly possible.
Yes.
And
so we just
going to be
assume a spell slot is spent on that.
Yeah, and that's going to be all of that, and then the reason for the visit is, of course, asking about the qualities of the spear. We have doubts about our quest, and we wish to consult the smith for information.
Moment passes, and Sojobo responds with, "If you wish to ask the smith about the spear, you are welcome to. As for its qualities, as far as I know, it is a spear made to slay the dragon. The smith will have more detail." That's all you get in response. But you can contact Kaizen.
Yep. That was my first. Yep. And then remind me, is 5e one of the additions where you can use a higher level spell slot to fill a lower level?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So I've got plenty. Alright. After I do the introductions and everything, Ray has had a little bit of time to calm down a bit and kind of offers it up to the party. I have permission to contact Kaizen from Sojobo. Do we have to be particularly precise about our message? All I was going to do was inquire. I was going to express our fear that the spear would act as a conduit for the resurrection of Orochi. And to that end, we would like to know how to destroy it, if we must.
I would definitely like to know his perspective on whether or not the spear could be used to bring Orochi back.
So I will rephrase. I'll say, I will ask whether or not he believes our fears are founded, and how we can destroy the spear if he believes they are.
Works for me.
You might also ask about if the spirit of Ayasu was completely destroyed, how its memory might remain in the spear.
Yes.
I will.
I feel that might be good for a second, just for the sake of words.
And my sanity.
Okay. So first
I know how
first
difficult
request,
that
you have
is.
got 25 words.
Right. So, prior to casting the spell,
Okay.
I'm going to rehearse.
Okay.
So I would ask you still keep count
Okay.
while I go, but I'm going to rehearse and then cast the spell and say it. We are concerned about our mission.
Okay.
And fear the spear might act as a way to resurrect Orochi. If necessary, how do we destroy it?
24 words.
That's
Nicely done.
24.
Yep. All right. So you repeat that verbatim.
That's the burst.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. As you cast your spell, speaking out into the ether, the words kind of carry with an echo behind them and leave you. Reiterate the question one more time. My brain lost the first half of that.
Yeah. So the basis is we're afraid that the spear can
be used to resurrect Orochi.
Right.
And is there a way to destroy the spear?
Is there a way to destroy it if necessary?
Okay. The response comes back. I don't know if the spear can be used in a resurrection. It's the greatest tool I have ever made. And if Orochi couldn't fully destroy it, I don't know what could. And that's the extent of it.
That's fair.
Yeah, he makes a damn good point, you know?
I had it in my mind. Like, if this thing didn't fully break on the freaking Dragon King himself.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, but seriously, when you make something, sometimes you build in.
Yeah.
Like, it's that.
No,
it's
No,
that
the good question to see if there was a
It's
failsafe or some sort of way to unravel it.
Well, yeah, no,
For
that's
sure, yeah.
that's the diagram of like the nuclear power flow in all nuclear powers. It's the president, the guy who installed the button.
Yeah.
He's just asking if there's a no ship button.
Yeah. Fair.
The moral of the story is there's no oh shit button.
Also, there is a word counter website.
Well, that's cool.
Just FYI, and I am kind of checking along just in case.
Yeah, no, you're good. I mean, I'm pretty sure word count.
We're all good, yeah.
Yeah, it's a function of all word processors since Vim but
I suppose, yeah, but I don't have any word processors, I don't think. I have any installed right now, so.
Vim. You always have Vim.
Hell is Vim. Alright, well, I mean, I guess I could use Google Docs too, so anyway.
Yes.
The hell
Anyways.
is Vim?
Enough of that
The
shit.
hell is Vim? Alright. Alright, you're obviously not the wizard in this situation.
Man was
Alright.
hurt.
Taking it a little bit personal there, Ron.
Hey. I'm a
He has a very
programmer.
specialized
It is
job.
apparently the ubiquitous text editor. Now I know.
The ubiquitous. Ubiquitous, motherfucker!
Wait, what?
That just reminded me of like Ross from Friends. Ubiquitous.
Yep, that's very very Ross-like. I love it.
Alright, yeah. So the next message, in lieu of being able to destroy the spear,
Mhm.
the next message will be sent to inquire about the memories embedded in it. So, to that end, my message first rehearsed, then sent. But first rehearsed. I can read the thoughts of individuals. I attempted this on the spear and witnessed Ieyasu battle Orochi.
You got 7 left.
Do you know how this might be?
The response comes quicker this time. A battle so climactic is bound to etch itself into something. I am not surprised the spear carries memory. That moment was pivotal. Sacred, though I loathe the word. And that's that.
So it's less of being Ieyasu's memory and just a memory of
The implication is that it is an imprint of a climactic moment on a cosmic scale. It etched itself into something. And the spear happened to be what holds that memory because it is the only thing left.
Okay.
That does at least clarify to you that it isn't something with a will, per se.
Alright.
It's like finding an old VHS in a house fire that somehow still works.
I'll push it out to the group. After that. Are you satisfied? Have we learned what we set out to learn?
I would say so. Although,
we can.
what was the goddess of truth's name again?
Umanai?
I wrote it down.
Goddess of prophecy.
Oh, prophecy.
Umanai.
I thought truth. Illuminai?
Oh, hold
Umanai.
on.
Lumini.
Luminai. Okay, while we have their ear, you might want to ask them about Luminai.
Or we can ask whatever entity we spoke to themselves. If the entity exists, I've met it. It meets the criterion for ascending. It doesn't have to respond, but I can certainly send a message to it.
My only concern is that if this entity was disingenuous with us, we may be alerting them to the fact that we suspect them.
Yeah, that's not the course of action.
Where better to do it than in a stronghold?
That's not my concern. They don't need to know that we suspect them. We want them to think that we're blindly following their orders. Until such time that, assuming they are deceiving us, we take their heads.
I'm saying that we can gain information now by discerning precisely what impersonated my emperor.
At great cost to ourselves. If we are unable to find any followers of Lumini with which to bargain or secure some form of communion with her, then
I can
we have
address
this.
the entity as Ieyasu, if we desire.
Yes, if you'll let me finish, Ray. If we are unable to contact Lumini through her followers or what have you, then we will always have this option to fall back on. This is not something we need to do immediately.
I am being rash again, aren't I?
A bit.
Thank
No,
you.
you're fine.
Don't listen to him.
I
I'm
have
sure you
learned-
know he is the
You're
most
muted
rash
again, honey.
among us.
I am not rash.
You're muted again, honey.
More like rad.
I was just gonna say, I believe the general rule is to do the opposite of what Art says, so you know that you were being a little rash.
I understand.
I do think it is a good idea. I just believe it's better saved for when we need it more.
Later, then.
Hachi just kind of goes, so, what's the plan then? Are we still going? Where are we going?
So wait, hold on. Who goes this?
Hachi.
Hachi.
One moment.
Yeah.
If you would, Ray, can you see if Sojobo knows anything of followers of Lumini?
I doubt it. The Tengu are no friends of the gods.
This is true, but perhaps he hates them enough to keep track of them.
Fair point. I have one more third level spell slot. Again, rehearsed before sending, but any extra words will be ate up with politeness.
Okay.
Know you of the followers of Ilimai. That's 7.
Mhm.
The rest of them will literally just be like, I'm sorry for asking you about the gods.
Gotcha. Gilding the lily as best she can.
Seven words, and I have
18 to futz
13
with.
left. Yeah.
All right. As you send your flowery speech of what do now, the response comes, Lumini is not a goddess I know well. Know of well. If she has a temple, it is small or secret. That's it.
Okay. Sorry, does anyone else have anything?
Nope. Every time Art said something, y'all have been suspicious coots.
So
You're just trying to get us to ignore everything we're talking about.
I gave y'all too much to think about, didn't I? Whoops.
Alright, so Ray will, after relaying Sojobo's, we could ask What was the name of the giant newt?
Master
Odd.
We could ask Master Odd something of the same. He seemed to be more inclined to the divinities.
True, and he is quite old, so perhaps
Old enough
he...
to remember Orochi's reign. No, that's not true. He was third generation after that.
Along those same lines, Asano may be a good one to consult as well. While they're doing this, actually, I can do this in character. I feel it might be good to also search our archives to see if we've got anything about her. Considering what Sojibo said, it's unlikely, but...
Ray will shrug. Ray is literally the goddamn phone line for this entire
Operator Ray.
Operator.
Fail. I am a cleric. I can always poke around at temples if everything else leads to nothing.
Operator. God damn it, Kyler.
And yeah, right. I know you did just ask them today, so perhaps at a later time, but
True, but I can always
perhaps
ask
you could
temples,
consult your
too.
Kodama as well.
Oh yeah, that's a smart idea. Maybe you should be a cleric. Have you ever thought of that? You have the brain to be one.
No, I have never thought of that.
Well, I think you should consider it. Sounds like a fine idea.
Ray will chime in. I don't think he has compassion.
I'll just kind of give you a look.
I have less than you.
That's
The look
true.
softens into a little bit of concern.
Okay, well maybe
A
don't
little
become
Polly
a
Pocket
cleric,
sociopath.
I still think you would do fine. There's a lot of clerics out there with a very little compassion. So much less than you, I promise. They have clerics that do necromancy.
But they don't worship the Kodama.
That's fine. There's other gods too.
None so valuable.
Do you want something from me? Usually when I get this many compliments, people are just trying to get stuff from me. What's up?
It's going to look excessively confused. Just like back and forth, like, oh my, the ears go and start twitching. You've seen a cat absolutely
Befuddled.
just completely like, what? This is what Ray is doing right now.
All right. So, are you contacting Master Odd or Thief
Yes.
Master Asano?
Both of them. While
Okay.
people do other things, it will be questions in the similar vein about specifically the goddess of prophecy.
Temples of Umani?
Yep.
All right. Master Odd, since he was mentioned first, as you inquire about if he has any knowledge of the Temples of Umani.
Oh, was it Umani?
I'm pretty sure it was Umani.
Okay, Noel.
Let me double check, because I have the master document. I have all these things. Yeah, Umani. Uminai. Umani. Sorry.
Whole time I thought it was Lumini.
That's okay. It's an easy miss here.
They're
Very easy.
close.
Yeah. Master Odd responds with, "Oh, yes. I have heard of the goddess. She has few worshippers. I believe there is a northern temple, perhaps in Yugakita."
Dead on 25 by my count.
Sweet.
Wonderful.
That was by instinct. Thief Master Asano just goes, Long time. No, I don't know of such a goddess. I hope this isn't a problem. How's Hachi? He still owes me money. Is he alive?
Stop that. He still owes me.
He still owes me. Okay. He still owes me. Just there was more to that sentence, but you heard it just hard cut off. He still owes me.
No particular message. Ray will just direct the last bits of that at Hachi and go, "You know I can cover for you, right?"
He goes, "That's all right. I'm really enjoying the break of being away. I'm alive. Just let him know I'm alive, and then I'll be back."
Can I? Ray will kind of cock her head to the side. Can I buy you off of him?
Absolutely not.
Ray, you can't just buy people.
Wrong.
Well, how?
Oh my god.
Fucking Dwight Schrute moment.
How about this? How about I free you from him, and if you want to keep on with us, then
The situation is a little more complicated than that. I appreciate the gesture, but
Asano seems the sort to accept money for any sort of situation.
it's more complicated than that. We have a history.
There's reputation to be
shrugs.
considered.
Yeah, I'm good for my own debts. I appreciate it.
You've done a lot for us, and we certainly haven't repaid you in kind.
You've kept me alive.
You're
That's
welcome.
Thank you. As he just kind of glares at Ark.
Please don't thank him.
We have a clear direction. Sorry, I guess you guys are still going.
Nah.
No, mine was gonna be a out of character thing. Carry on.
I was gonna say we have a clear direction. I think our main question now is: do we want to stop by and destroy the piece at Okataro on the way to Yugakita?
The question that I believe we need to answer is whether or not we want to flesh out Mitsura.
Well, we could sort of just do it passively. Just stop trying to be so inconspicuous. Not necessarily make a spectacle of it, but have him find us while we're doing our own business.
He seems competent enough that if we were to stop trying to be stealthy, he would find us.
Precisely.
By spectacle, I didn't mean something ridiculous.
Oh, of course.
I'm not gonna light off fireworks with every dinner. Like,
I am like going to already go to put a hand out to stop Ark from whatever he was gonna say about a spectacle. She's got that motherly like, oh shoot, they said the word.
All I was trying to say was we can stop trying to thwart him. And I believe that would be far more than enough to bring him out.
I agree with you.
So do we want to address my question?
I'm still not sure about that.
My answer to your question is if we're willing to deal with Mitsura, we do that first.
I like Yukio's approach of, for now, just being passive about it, and maybe if our path leads us back towards the heart of the Empire, then we can pursue it more actively.
Fair enough. I say we continue on. Stop being so stealthy. And if Mitsura finds us, he finds us on our way.
In regards to the... Hold on. Probably remember this in character. In regards to Orochi's bones, I'm still wary about destroying any further pieces before we determine the origin of our quest, given the Kodama's warning, as it were.
They said there was a temple in the north.
Yes, in Yukikita.
How is that laid out to our current journey?
We would have to pass through Okutoro, but we could probably do it. I mean, we could do it easily, right?
Can we do that, then double back?
The map is pinned, so
easy
you are welcome to look at it.
Yes, I have the map up all of the time.
Yeah, me too.
It's one of my tabs that I save with my D&D set of tabs. It's very nice.
Yeah, I don't think it's hugely out of the way if we wanted to double back. The only issue is we'd be passing through dangerous bandit lands twice.
Bandits.
Yeah, but they're just bandits.
We do seem to be really good at killing dragon thingies. Like, I can't imagine a bandit would want to stop us and try to mug us.
Depends on the kind of bandits we're dealing with.
You know, some people are too stupid for their own good, so...
The north first.
Who drew all over my goddamn map?
Good question. Do I even have it open? I don't even have it open.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
That's been on the freaking screen this whole time, hasn't it? Amazing.
What do we... Oh.
He deleted it. It's gone.
I did. I'm pretty sure that was my wife!
Adult woman, why would I doodle?
Because you're also the source of the huge purple aura.
Listen, I just got a deception roll of 19. You just don't know it was a deception roll.
Alright. North first, we find the temple. Then we take care of the pieces.
Before we leave, I do still want to search our archives, see if, by chance, we have something more specific than the entire province. I doubt it, but I'll just kind of call to a couple attendants, like, do you mind?
Mm-hmm. They will allow it.
And, I already kind of looked around, and it doesn't seem like our archives are, stocked with fairy tales, but on the way to where we're going, I'd really like to look out to see if we can get a written copy of that fable that is so coincidentally
Related.
I'd really like to see if there's anything in there we can glean.
Good idea.
Good plan.
Yep.
And I'll just do, what was it, investigation?
Mm-hmm. Investigation to find what specifically?
Texts on Lumini or,
Okay.
like, the followers of Lumini,
Yeah,
etc.
go ahead. Make an investigation check.
Well, I
Can
got
I-
an 11.
Alright.
Mm,
No.
There
Yeah.
are better investigators
Yuki.
among us, so...
Yuki.
I investigate pretty well.
Are you calling
Yeah,
me Yuki or are you
either-
calling me Yukio? Important to know.
Yukio. Yukio is the sorry, it's been like a month and a half. Yukio is the polite, correct?
yeah, Yukio is the polite version, yeah.
Right.
Well, specifically, the only time somebody has called me Yuki that I know of, it's been Ark. And I very specifically asked him to never call me Yuki again.
Yeah.
So,
Got it. Yukio. It's either me or Ark. Essentially, is what it boils down to.
I would definitely defer in that case. I did already roll, but
I will let one other person roll, either Architect or Ray, depending on who is assisting.
I would say whomever Yukio chooses.
you can refer to me out of character as Yukio. Totally fine.
Yeah. All right.
My
Just when you're
investigation.
speaking to him.
Mine's a +9. I don't know what Ray's is.
8.
For the sake of sheer numbers, I'll go with Ark.
All right. Ark, go ahead and make an investigation check to see if you can find any texts on Umanai.
And he seems to be good at doing stuff when it's especially important.
Getting meta
That's
with it.
true.
A little bit, but I mean, you
A lot
are
of crouching
right.
moron, hidden badass.
Okay, let's do some quick math. What would a 27 find me? I need to know if I'm gonna flash this or not up until
Flash
32.
Do
Flash
it
it.
32, man.
Flash it.
That's
We're
what I was hinting at anyway.
32.
32. You don't find
Perfect.
any texts pertaining to the goddess Umanai or her worship. You find innumerable texts about a variety of different demons and other beings. You do get a small account of the gods themselves, such as they are understood. Gods, capital G, as opposed to just the spirits of the land. You do, however, find a few names of places when you are just happening to kind of going across texts that are sourced around Yugakita province. You know that there are a couple of different places. Bakujin City is the largest city in Yugakita. It's home to a number of nobles, and is considered almost like a second capital to the empire. There's some history of dissidents, which also leads to the Ichukita Wall, which is practically a city amongst itself, and it is a wall that separates the Yugakita province from the Ichuka province. It is basically a trade hub that was once a fortification when the country was at civil war many, many, many years ago. And there are a few temples that are listed here. Chief amongst them, the largest, is Goken Temple, which actually Cirrus.
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Goken Temple is a temple built by an order of ascetic monks, and they are an order, not a sister order per se to the Mistwalkers, but they are an order that also accomplishes, or they're accomplished martial artists, and they have had their fair share of experience dealing with powerful demons and other such entities. And they are a pious order. In addition to being like martial artist monks, they are religious as well, and they carry many sacred texts and other important documentation or pieces of information. They would likely, you were smart enough and you were able to investigate that you're like, if anybody's going to have any hint as to how to get in contact with Umanai's followers or anything like that, Goken Temple would probably be the best bet.
I will relay my collected information. I just imagine like Ark after that roll just kind of like stands in the middle of a room and slowly ascends, eyes go white, book swirling around, laying back on the ground. I got nothing.
I was picturing like a couple of us just kind of sitting around looking through scrolls and like discussing what we find, if anything.
I mean,
but that's hilarious, and I love it.
But yeah, he'll do. So Goken Temple is where I think the information would be.
Correct.
What direction is that?
North.
North.
It is in Yugakita province.
Isn't that
northwest?
Isn't that where we were gonna go to destroy the next beast?
No, Okotoro was where we were gonna go. However, conveniently, Bakujin City is where we were directed by Asano regarding the piece there. So if we can suss out whether or not our quest is genuine, then we can also maybe knock out the piece in Yugakita before we double back.
Yeah.
I believe that. I believe Mitsuru will find us quickly, and we'll have to decide on how we want to dispose of him.
Don't hurt the hat.
I make no promises.
Further, he will have information for us. I don't know if we can wrench it out of him or no.
Well,
But we can certainly try.
Let's just make sure you're not leading the investigation, or else we'll end up with a puddle before we have information.
Ray knows disintegrate, and at some point, if Architect fucking turns against us, guess what's gonna happen, asshat?
I saw you roll 1 more damage than my health earlier.
It's a ridiculous fucking spell. It's
you get plus 40?
yeah.
Damn it!
Yes, I do.
That would assume.
Are you level 5 or lower? Goodbye.
Yeah.
That would be.
Because that's 50 flat damage minimum.
It's 10d6 plus 40.
That would probably come down to which one of us went first. Because if I could go first, bet my ass is blinking out of reality for your turn. Can't disintegrate something in a different plane.
Also, don't have to worry about something in a different plane. Ready action, disintegrate when you pop back into existence.
Alright. So, is the plan to head to Yugakita then?
I believe so.
I think so.
Alright. Any business you guys want to take care of before you gather yourselves and begin heading on the road?
I think it's a good place to call it.
Okay. Then that is where we're going to call it. We'll be back in a couple weeks. It'll probably be 3 weeks, considering we won't be playing next week because we're on an every other week schedule, or we will be. Week after that, Mandy and I are gone. So we will probably start that following week, assuming everything else pans out. If not, actually, I don't think that'll work because that Friday, Olivia has her game.
I think she runs on Saturday, doesn't
Yeah, I don't
she?
think she does Fridays.
I'm not available any Saturdays for a while, so the last day I agreed to was a Friday.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we scheduled for Friday.
Oh.
Yeah. So we will hammer it out and figure it out. Worst comes to worst, we'll just play again next week to make up for lack of a schedule, if we can do that. So we'll see how it goes. All right.
Next. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Anybody who stuck with us, appreciate it. Had a wonderful time, and I'm glad to be back. All right. See you guys.